Hey everybody, Mr. LaHaye here. Monday, January 28th. Not going to be there today. My youngest daughter had a high fever, 102. I think she's got an ear infection, so my time to take her to the doctor and make sure she's okay. I want to go over 10.5 and teach 10.7, and rather than me being there in class, I'm just going to do it this way. You won't be able to ask me questions, but I will be there tomorrow for you to ask me questions then. To go over 10.5, remember, the formula that you need to know for 10.5, and really it's useful right across the board, is the volume of a two-based figure is the area of the base times the height. And if you can keep that in mind, then you're going to be in good shape for this whole assignment. There it is, right up there. Okay, so I'm going to run through every single one. Since I won't be there for you to ask me questions. For number 1, area of the base, since it's a circle, is pi r squared, so pi times 7 squared. There's the area of our base. Times the height is 9. I'm going to calculate this out as the exact volume, and then you can compare that to the rounded one that's on the line if you want. 7 squared is 49. 49 times 9 is 441. So the answer here for number 1 is 441 pi units cubed. Number 2, the area of our base now is it's a triangle, so we've got 1/2 base times height, so 1/2 8 times 10. There's the area of our base times the height of the figure, which is another 10. 1/2 times 8 is 4, times 10 is 40, times 10 is 400, and that's what you see there on the line as well. Number 3, again, it doesn't matter if it's oblique or not, so we just treat it the same way. Area of our base is pi times the radius squared. If the diameter is 22, the radius is 11, so 11 squared. Pi times 11 squared times the height, which is 25. 11 squared is 121, and 121 times 25 is 3025 pi. So again, exact answer, rounded answer. And then for number 4, I'm going to go ahead and clear some of this out of the way, if I can. For number 4, we want the area of this. This one's really tricky because they don't give us the radius or the diameter, they actually just give us the circumference. So you actually have to say, okay, circumference, that's 2 pi r. They tell us the circumference is 25 pi, so 25 pi equals 2 pi r. And solving backwards, we cancel the pi's because they divide. We divide by 2, and we find the radius is 12.5. Once we know the radius is 12.5, we're ready to find the volume. So volume is the area of the base, which is pi times the radius squared, so 12.5 squared, times the height, which is 8. 12.5 squared times 8 gives us 1,250 pi. That would be exact, around it is 3,927 millimeters cubed. We skipped number 5, you don't have to worry about it. On to number 6, we want the area of the base. Now we're getting into the story problems, so I'm going to back this up, have some room. We want the area of the base of a prism that has a volume of 140 and a height of 70. This is just kind of thinking about it from a different way. Volume equals area of base, I'm going to say A of B, times height. So the volume is given, it's 140. We don't know the area of the base, and we know the height is 7. We're going to divide by 7. 140 divided by 7 is 20, and that's the area of the base. On to number 7, we want the radius of a cylinder. It gives you the volume, it gives you the height. So again, if it's a cylinder, it has a circular base, so we're going to say volume equals pi r squared, because the area of the base is pi r squared, times the height. We know the volume is 108 pi. That equals pi r squared times the height, which is 3. At this point, I would divide by 3. I can recognize I have a pi on both sides, so that's going to cancel. 108 divided by 3 is, of course, 36. So 36 equals r squared. We square root 36 and we get 6, and that is our answer for number 7. For number 8, what is the volume of a regular hexagonal prism with a base area of 24, square root of 3, and a height of 12? I know this looks tough, but the base area and the height are what we multiply to get volume. So you simply multiply this times this, and you get that. I wouldn't give you something with a square root on a quiz or a test, so don't worry too much about that. Number 9, what is the length of a base edge of an oblique square prism with a height of 142 and a volume of 168? I'm going to say volume, 168, equals area of the base. Since the base is a square, I'm going to call the area of the base s squared, because we do side times side to get the area of a square, times the height, which is 42. At this point, I'm going to divide by 42. And 168 divided by 42 is 4. So 4 equals s squared, square root it, and we get number 2. I believe I told you guys to skip number 10. If I didn't, if you have questions, we'll go over that tomorrow. I'm not going to do that on here. Number 11, list all the rectangular prisms below that may be paired with the one at the right under Cavalieri's principle. Basically, that's just kind of asking you which ones have the same base area and volume. So the ones that have the same base area, 4 times 12 is 48, just like 8 times 6 is 48. Here you've got 8 times 6 is 48. So they have the same base areas, and obviously they have the same volume because they all have the same height. This one's off the table because it doesn't have the same base area and doesn't have the same volume. This one, I believe, would have the same volume. Let me check it out real quick on my calculator. It would. This would have the same volume as this one, but since it doesn't have the same base area, it doesn't follow Cavalieri's principle. For number 12, you want to go from smallest to largest in terms of area. You just basically have to go through and find the area of each one. Smallest would be number 2, then the next smallest would be number 1, and the largest volume would be number 3. Just finding the volume of each one of those. Number 13, this one's a little bit tricky, but if you remember your area of a trapezoid formula, it's not too bad. I will say the hardest part, here's our trapezoid right here. For a trapezoid, you need its height, which is 8, and you need base 1 and base 2. You see this base down here, 10 inches, but way over here you say 1 foot. That's your other base, but 1 foot in inches is 12 inches. So to find the volume here, you have to do area of the base, which is 1/2, times the height of the base, which is 8 inches, times base 1 plus base 2 of that base, which is 10 plus 12. There's the area of my base, which I'm colored in red. And we have to then take that whole thing and multiply it by the height of the whole figure. But once again, it's in feet. We need to have it in inches because we were working in inches over here. So 12 inches in 1 foot, that means 2.5 feet would be 30 inches, and that's what we're going to multiply here. When you do this, you get 2,640 cubic inches. We're going to stick with that for right now. I'm not going to worry about cubic feet. Number 14, how many gallons of oil can be stored in a cylindric tank 8 feet long with a 5-foot diameter? Well, this one's a little bit of a tricky question, but once again, if we want gallons, that's volume. So volume is area of the base, which is for a circular base, pi times the radius squared. The radius would be 2.5 feet if the diameter is 5. So there's pi r squared times the height, which would be 8. So for this, we're going to do 2.5 squared times 8 which gives us 50 pi, and that would be cubic feet. That's cubic feet. Now 1 cubic foot is 7.5 gallons, so we would take that and we would multiply it by 7.5, and that'll give you this number of gallons right here. Tricky question with the conversion factor. I'm going to slide this up. 15. 15 was more involved than I want to get into on here. I'd be happy to go over it, but I'm not going to give you one like that again on a test or a quiz, so we're going to skip it for now. Sorry if you lost sleep over the weekend. Okay, we're on to lesson 10.7, the volume of pyramids and cones. Same concept as before, only now you're dealing with things that have one base and come up to a point. So, learning target, you should walk out of this class saying, I can find the volume of pyramids and cones. I think I can. So here we go. It's the same idea, and I'd be happy to explain where this idea comes from on Tuesday. I'm not going to get into it today. Same thing as before with one exception. You're going to find the area of the base, just like with prisms and cylinders, and you're going to multiply by the height. The only difference is you then divide by 3. Okay? You divide by 3. In other words, the volume of a pyramid or cone is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. That is our formula for things that have one base and come to a vertex. Okay, using that, we're going to do some practice problems now. We want to find the volume of this pyramid of Khufu. Here we go. Volume is 1/3 times the area of the base. We would find the area of the base if it's a square by doing side times side, 231 times 231, times the height, which is 147. We are not using slant height for volume. We're always going to use height. So, in my calculator, 231 times 231 times 147 divided by 3. I get a volume of the pyramid of Khufu. It's big. 2,614,689 cubic meters. Again, volume, cubic meters, cubic units. Number 2, if a cone at the right has a height of 6 inches and it gives you your volume, what is the radius of the base? So, volume is 1/3 times the area of the base, which here would be pi r squared, times the height, which is 6. And we know the volume is 40. So 40 equals, I'm going to do right now 1/3 times 6. 1/3 times 6 is 2 times pi r squared. 40 divided by 2 is going to give us 20 equals pi r squared. We're looking for that radius. So now we're going to do 20 divided by pi and get that. I need to find some more room. Hang on. There we go. Pi's cancel. 20 divided by pi is about 6.366. That equals r squared. We're going to square root that. Find that our radius is about 2.52 inches. Done with that. On to number 9, last one. We're given the volume again. We want the length of one side of the base. So here we go. Volume equals area of the base, which in this case it's a square pyramid, so it's a square base. So side squared, side times side to get the area of the base, times the height. Volume is 484. We're looking for S, so we're going to keep it S squared for area of the base. The height is 12. Next step, divide by 12. 484 divided by 12 is 40.3 repeating. That equals S squared. And as you know, we're going to square root. And the square root of that gives us a side length of about 6.35. And you are finished with section 10.7. Remember, volume is base times height, but when you only have one base, you have to divide by 3. I'll explain why tomorrow. Now get your assignment done, and have a good day.